ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 284th episode of the Geek First Travis. I am the...
Geek First Travis.
Oh, shit. We may or may not have re-recorded this opening. I am the Iceman, #1 Luigi fanboy. Maybe not #1 Luigi fanboy, but Luigi Mansion. I'm up in the top 10.
Right.
Travis now.
I'd consider myself a pretty big Luigi fanboy as well.
Yeah.
And I am the Adam Hart caster, Dylan Muss.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last conference we're going to be covering. I guess, conference track, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. We covered Bethesda, we covered Xbox, we covered Ubi, we covered Square. Go back and check out all those. We're going to cover Nintendo in this one. And then after, we're going to drop an episode of a recap. We're going to talk a little bit more Avengers because there's some news dropping about that.
And then just kind of our highlights, I think, of their other conferences.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's just dive right in this. What did they...
They started with Smash.
I remember what they started with.
They typically start with Smash in these kind of things if they have it cooking, and this time they did again. This time, their next character that's coming out sometime this summer, the hero, who is the playable protagonist from the Dragon Quest games. So, I don't know, there's various Dragon Quest games that we've actually talked about these recently on Square Enix and stuff. And it's cool, there's like four protagonists from different games, and they're all just kind of blended into this character. You can play as all of them using separate skins. Definitely an interesting pick. This was a pretty popular leak, so I actually saw this a few days ago. So it wasn't a big surprise for me, but I'm actually pretty down with it. It's I haven't played the Dragon Quest games, so I don't really have much attachment to the character at all. But and it's another sword character, which I think we have like way too many of those at this point.
Yeah.
But I think the part I like is just like another magic user, because we don't really have a whole lot of those in this game. We have Zelda and like Robin, and that's pretty much it. So I don't know. And there's kind of like this, I guess, this element where you can pick different moves or select moves, like kind of the classic Final Fantasy Dragon Quest style. So I don't know how that's going to play into the game, because we saw like at least 7 or 8 different like specials there that I don't know if they're like on the different characters' skins you get to play as them, or if you can kind of select them all. So I'm curious to see more of that, but I don't know. I think at least the character fits in really well style-wise with Smash. Like we were talking about in all the Dragon Quest stuff, the thing I like the most is like the colors and like how vibrant they are. They're really cool-looking characters, kind of Dragon Ball Z as we've mentioned. So I'm down with it. I'm sure not a character that Travis is going to be playing.
No, not really. I just for me, it's just another sword-wielding kind of anime-like character, and I feel we have enough of those. I think also it'd be different if this was the announcement of a new game. This is when because we were getting 5 people, right? 5 or 6.
So there's 2 announced in this direct, and then there's 1 more unannounced at this point, and that's all they've said so far. Like for the game, the season's pass, that's what you get for the fighters pass, and who knows if they'll do more after that. Yeah.
So if we just only get 1 more, that's a little disappointing to me, because I guess when did they reveal Joker at the Game Awards?
No, it wasn't. Maybe it was. I don't think so. I think they did a direct in January or February, like when Piranha Plant was coming out or something. I think that was when it was announced.
Yeah, obviously we'll talk about it later. So I was pretty happy with that one, but at least I think they were smart to put this at the front, because I was watching live. And until the ending one, people are pretty disappointed. I think Dragon Quest has its Persona 5. I kind of understood. And I do understand this one. I just feel it's just a much smaller fan base. I just meme, and I just still don't understand why you have a character named Joker. But I kind of understand it's a bit more of a unique fan base. It's different bringing to Smash. I just feel like the Dragon Quest, they kind of have that a little covered. Yeah, maybe not specifically those fans, but just those type of characters. So it's a character that I will never play with unless I'm forced to.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you play like 3 or 4 characters in total, so you're not like a very.
I widened my horizons this year, though. I got more than just Little Mac now, and
it's true.
I still want to get on Senior, and I still haven't. There's somebody else, and Snake we unlocked when I was like only had half an hour left. So
yeah,
and I'm very excited for the last pick. So I would I have widened my horizon, but yeah, it's just not. Just not an interesting one. I think it's good for those fans. It is a strange choice for me, but it's the classic Nintendo.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like Dragon Quest is pretty popular. Like there's a lot of games coming out frequently.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I don't know anyone personally who plays these games, but at least from like the people I follow on Twitter, a lot of people in the Smash scene and stuff like that, it seemed like people were pretty into it. And I think everyone's kind of in the same boat. It's like, well, more sword characters, ha ha ha. And there's just so many of them, but at least there's a little bit more to it, and there's, the shield kind of like Link has that most other sword characters don't have, and the magic and stuff. It seems pretty fun. And I just really like the color scheme on their characters. It's really vibrant. They really fit in well. At least they don't like stand out, right? So I guess that's a good thing. And then the other character, I mean, this is technically the end of the conference, but we'll just bundle all the Smash stuff together, is someone you've been hoping for quite a while.
Yeah. I think
young Banjo-Kazooie.
You'd probably have to go back for quite a while. Even I'm not sure. I don't think we ever did a dream roster, but when we talked about it,
I remember I asked you guys once, and I think yours were like Waluigi and Banjo.
Yeah,
were kind of two main guys.
I'm a huge Banjo fan. I love the N64 games. It's something. I don't know. I feel like that one we had a discussion. Go to our Patreon about if he's a gaming icon or not.
It's a really fun cast.
Yeah, and for me, it's just he's hold a special place. I do think he's not the biggest. I think there's a lot of people. I think in the Nintendo community that understand it and are really hyped.
He's more retro at this point.
Yeah, and what is he? He's raring to get in the fight. Or what was the tagline?
Raring to get going, something like that.
He looked lots of fun. I'm very excited to try him out. But yeah, he's somebody I've wanted for a while. So now I just got Waluigi left. But yeah, Banjo just has a special place in my heart. I've played that one probably just as much as, and I played it more than a Sonic, more than a Pac-Man, just as much as Mario 64. I love Banjo and Banjo 2. I would really like to see a comeback, or I'd like to see them get the Crash Spyro treatment of get some nice remasters, cool. Remakes.
Yeah, maybe the chance is now with the hype of getting the hype building again for this character, and especially with Yooka-Laylee kind of. I don't know. People were hyped for it when it first got announced, but then it seemed like it kind of just dwindled over time, and the game dropped, and it was like, it's okay.
Yeah. It
looks good, but it's a little outdated gameplay-wise.
And I think the biggest thing was, one, I was a fan of Banjo, but two is just, I always thought that he could have a unique moveset with Kazooie in his backpack, and that's exactly what they've delivered on. Just seeing him attack with him, seeing him just whip him out at one point, just shooting the eggs. Yeah. Just kind of everything that I thought or dreamed about seeing Banjo and Smash. Yeah. That's what
his animations are super lively, just very kind of over the top animated fun.
Do all the characters come with a stage?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know they showed a lot of that, so that's what gets me most hyped.
The two, they did show the two stages, the Dragon Quest and the Banjo stage. They look like kind of classic forest, green forest sort of areas. We didn't see them in detail, but I'm sure they'll be fun. At least colorful wise, they both look really nice in there. And I really like the way they did both these reveals. The Banjo one obviously is kind of a rehash of the K. Rool announcement trailer with Donkey Kong looking out the window. Yeah. But it's also a fun throwback because at the time when all those guys were chilling on N64 together, Donkey Kong and pals it was a rare game, right? So it was a fun way to team them up like that. And then they had the Duck Hunt fake out. Yeah. So I thought that was really good. And then I really liked the Dragon Quest Hero intro because it was a throwback to the subspace cutscene where Marth, Meta Knight, and Link. I can't remember if in Brawl if it was Link or Ike that was part of that, but the three of them were fighting in a cutscene, and that was the start of a new section of the campaign. So I really like that they also threw back to that cutscene with that intro as well. That was a fun little detail that they threw in
Easter
there.
egg, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They weren't fully new trailers or reveals, I guess, but I thought they were pretty fun. So. The Hero is coming out in summer this year, obviously, and Banjo's sometime in the fall. And then we'll get one more character. I don't know, probably there'll be another direct, sometime in the fall, early fall, September or something that will, I would imagine, announce that character. And then, who knows, maybe they're out by Christmas, and then, I don't know, maybe they'll do another Seasons Pass set of characters. Maybe they'll stop, maybe just leave it at that. I mean, there's enough roster in the game already.
Oh, yeah.
77 or something.
They've hit a good quota.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you surprised we are getting that one in the summer or not? I was kind of expecting, and you can play as them now, or this Tuesday coming out.
No, I wasn't, because if you look at the spacing of the other ones, we got Piranha Plant at the very end of January, maybe start of February, something like that, and then Joker at the very end of April. Which I guess May, June, it's been almost a month and a half since then. So I guess I wasn't expecting that. Summer makes more sense to me. I don't know when that will be. And sometimes Nintendo, being from Japan, they're what they mean by summer is sometimes different. Yeah. So I don't know when that is exactly. They didn't drop a date or anything. So I think it makes sense and fits. But I could see the rest of them being out by the end of this year, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know who the last one is, but.
Because, that's either... An expand. Well, it's crazy because I didn't read the article. I pulled the Taylor, but I swear I saw a couple quotes from tweets and articles that they were really focused on this gen and not next gen. So it doesn't sound like they're planning on.
Yeah, there's been
on.
rumors of the Switch, like I guess like I don't know,
like an iPhone.
Like an Elite or something like that.
But
which hasn't dropped. Yeah, like they didn't talk about that at the conference.
No, but it doesn't sound like they're trying to go away from the Switch like a Wii U to a Switch.
No, definitely not. I think they're going to stick with that because it's not a gimmick. Like people are really liking it. Mm-hmm. So, and actually, now that I'm counting in my head, Piranha Plant didn't count as one of the Fighters Pass characters.
Say,
so there's actually two more
left,
characters.
Yeah.
So now that I think about it, I don't think they'll all be out by the end of this year. Maybe we'll get one more in 2020 or the last two. I'm not sure.
Well, we know one of them has to be Waluigi, but no,
it kind of seems like at this point that they're all going to be
third party
characters.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I think the Minecraft one is like pretty likely, honestly.
Don't want that one.
And I'm really pulling for the Dragonborn. I'm still like, I think it's going to happen with all the Bethesda team up that we've seen. Other than that, I don't know who it would be off the top of my head.
I feel like if it was going to be the Dragonborn, you would have got it now because I guess they could just do a direct, but I feel like E3 would have been the time. But
yeah,
I'm trying to think.
It's hard to say because like I don't know. Skyrim it's been around for so long. I mean, guess Banjo relevant. He's not a very relevant character. He's still in there, so I could see them doing it still. I don't think there's like a big time frame on it just because Skyrim's still like a big massive game. So
no, I've always pulled for Waluigi, but I said months ago that I don't think Waluigi's in this just because I feel that he was a meme and he's taken over to people actually wanting him, but I just feel like that happened at a time where they were done making those type of characters. I'm not sure. My meme prediction is John Wick just because that Keanu Reeves hype, and they almost put James Bond in there.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like at this point, with the fact that Piranha Plant is a character that they put in the game, Daisy, like I don't think it's looking good for Waluigi.
Like this game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I disagree. Yeah, I agree. I think next game it's almost a for sure. I really do, but I think. I would love to see. I would love even if they left that last. But I'm trying to think of anyone else. I've always thrown Crash, but Crash and Banjo are pretty similar. I could see Crash being a strong contender for whenever the next game comes out.
Yeah, or Spyro. Spyro's coming to Switch in September, so that would be that'd be like really unique character, I think.
Well, talk about a sword anime-like character. The Witcher is coming to the Switch.
That's a big
Geralt is, he could be up there. I'd be pretty hyped. If
I honestly
if Richter and stuff could be in there, he could be in there.
I mean, Simon's a big character.
Yeah. No, I know they're big, but I just mean like they feel like they're actual adults. Like when they're
I see
when they're like
anime, more like realistic characters.
Yeah, like even the anime. Like I know they're adults, but they still have this like mythical feeling of the Fire Emblem characters where. Like Roy or like Richter and Simon, they feel very adulty. Like and Snake too as well. Like they're just
they use
adults.
like a chain that they whip people with. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, so you know what? Get that Gerald in there. I don't think that's gonna happen, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean the thing is like I think I've said this since the game release. Like I'm so happy with the roster on release, like bringing everyone back and then putting my two most wanted characters of Ridley and K. Rool in there. Like I don't care who they put in there. I'm happy at this point. I'm happy with these two choices that they picked, even though they're not from games that I've played. I'm still super excited for them. So whatever they put out, like if it's Spyro and a character I know and have played their games, sweet. If not, whatever. I'm super content at this point anyway. They always make it worth it. Like even like every character they make unique. They really make them feel different, except for like the Echo Fighters, but they're not going to release those as DLC. It doesn't seem like so.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with Banjo. I'm not really, and I'm not paying for the DLC. I'm just a spectator, but I will be playing at Dylan's place. I'm happy with Banjo. Of course, there's other people I'd want, but that was kind of like a dream one. So anyone else, now I've kind of just accepted that we'll probably get more like a Joker, more of these Dragon Quest, more people. So that's why I'm happy I got one character I really like, but I think the rest will be more people that I'm not necessarily a fan of. So I hope that's not the case, but I feel like that is the vibe. And I think you're right. It's definitely going to be third party. So I just hope it's something, some interesting ones, So I do think the last one could be potentially big if they don't make any more. So, but I don't know who that would be.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of possibilities. Moving on from Smash, because that's really all they're doing for DLC. Like, I don't know. The Joker came with the stage builder, actually, of all things. So maybe there is plans to release like other modes. Like I still want that target test back, home run contest, those things that just weren't in there, the classics. Maybe they'll look to bring those in, but they didn't announce any of that here. It was just a couple character reveals. So that's that. Moving on, I just want to touch quickly on, Reggie's gone, and they brought in their new guy, Doug Bowser.
Right.
And
yeah.
they had, this is like, as far as I'm aware, the first time he was in a direct kind of introducing stuff. So, I don't know. What was your first opinion of him?
It was a 50-50. I think he himself was a little stale. It is tough because we just all grew to love Reggie so much because he's that parent.
He's like a meme.
He's like that teacher that was, kind of uncool, but that made him cool.
Right.
But I thought the introduction of I would have been furious if you don't play on the Bowser name, right? So the second Bowser came in with a little tie. I think that was enough. I think this guy, it's his first one, so I think it was a good first impression. I hope that he can end up being like Reggie. I hope so. But it's gonna be tough. It's still sad that Reggie's not. The Bowser thing was fun, but when he started talking, he did a good job. Nothing wrong with him, but I still, as of right now, because it's so close, it's like
Reggie just brought like hype to the room.
Yeah, I miss Reggie. So
we'll get our Doug Bowser memes at some point, and then we'll become a big fan of him, I'm sure.
Yeah. I hope Reggie one point in his life comes back for a direct. Maybe I still think what he should be a character in Smash.
I'm
Do
down.
it up.
People have made the memes of it, like make him an actual character. Why not?
Get him and Feige in the game, and then
I'm super down. After that, they went right into Luigi's Mansion 3, which looked like a lot of fun. And from what we've seen and what I've read of articles, people talking about it, is that they're really going back to the roots of the first game in that it's just one play area. It's just like a big hotel in this game, so not like Dark Moon where they had different like levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, each level. Well, it was kind of like a Mario God, what would that be? Like a Super Mario World, where it would be like not to that grand scale, but a world, and you beat it. Where this was like it's a house, there's 5 levels in it, and then you move off to another mansion. I never liked that because the experience of the first game was there was so much character put in that first mansion. The second one just felt like some fun game to sign.
Yeah, just like the fact that it would just keep opening up into new rooms is something that I think is really fun as like a player to go through. It's really satisfying when you're going back to these old areas and it's all just continuous. It makes the game feel more cohesive. So I like that they're going back to that as well. And then I guess the other thing that is kind of reminiscent of the first game is that the ghosts just have a little more character to them. They have more of a personality, which I hear wasn't the case in the second game. Though I didn't play
it.
Not
at all.
But I thought it was a really great display. I still have to play through the entirety of Luigi's Mansion. I've just played little snippets here or there, so I definitely want to play through it before the new game comes out.
I'm down to do a stream, because it's no co-op, but I'm down to hand off and whatnot. And that's what you're talking about. The ghosts have so much character, and that's the thing where ghosts, when you think about, could just be so easy just to be you're hunting them, but there's so many ghosts in that game that I just remember each room going in and just having this distinct feeling, whether it's a baby ghost, whether it's this guy that ate too much, whether it's like this medium, whether it's the piano one. There's so much, and like the piano one was so cool. You had to like play Mario music, like the theme Mario, to get them to pop out. It just had so much character, and it felt like a living, breathing world. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really like the display, and I liked some of the new abilities, like the Guigi that you can use to go through slim railings and stuff like that, go through spikes. I think that's really fun. It's cool that you can use that as like co-op if you want, and I'm guessing you can do that through the whole game.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because so what happens if you and I are playing and I'm Luigi or Guigi and I get water? Would you just respawn him again? I imagine.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I figured the reason they put that in there isn't just to solve a couple puzzles, right? Like they probably made it so that the whole game could be co-op, which was
they made it sound like,
and that's kind of something they did. Was it a remake or did they bring Dark Moon to the Switch? They did either some remake or some new version where they made the whole game co-op, so you could play through it like the entirety with your friend. That was in some direct, I don't know, sometime in the last year. So that's clearly like an element they wanted to implement here, and it looks really cool. I think Guigi seems like a fun mechanic, and it's a good like puzzle solving thing as well.
Yeah.
And then I really like the suction gun as well.
Yeah.
Kind of like a plunger essentially. So yeah, it just looks like a fun game. That, I mean, they showed a few of the different like levels and layouts, and some of them are like pretty crazy themes. Because the first game was more like down to earth, right? Or was there more like crazy themed rooms like that, like a mining shaft and like a giant flower?
I think it started down to earth, but then it gets pretty radical, because at one point there's a dog house and you like get sucked into it, and it's like a whole ghost
Damn.
world and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it got more zany as it went along.
cool.
So this one looked a bit more out there as far as the colors and whatnot. I love the setting because I'm a huge Shining fan. It's not the exact same, but right when they're like, oh, you're in a hotel, right away I'm like, okay, boom, and it's just me as a fan, but they talked about The Shining, and then the first thing they show is triplets, kind of like the twins in Shining. So that was getting me in right away. The new moves, the new moves like Dylan was showing out, Luigi, suction shot, the slam. The only one I didn't like was the burst because it's something I don't like the mechanic. They showed an example of a ghost kind of whipping a carpet and you had to jump. I just don't want that to be a thing.
It seems like kind of clunky. Yeah. It seems like if that's the way that you jump, and you have to do it like often. It seems like you can't do it while moving either. So it looked a little weird.
If I recall, first game you couldn't jump. So this is a new one. So that I didn't like. The slam I really liked, even though I don't think that should make much sense. But I like that it kind of knocks the ghost health bar down. And what I really liked, Dark Moon is, and I guess I should preference this if anyone's new, Luigi Mansion. We did a top 10 gaming cast a long time ago. This is a top 3 game for me. It's my 3rd favorite game ever. I love this game. It's my favorite Nintendo game. It's the horror in me. I love the preference. I love the setup, the story. It could have just been a cheap crash grab, which that's why I felt 2 was. But the first one, as I was saying, had lots of character. And that's why I love when this opened. It was just showing you the basics of, oh, look, the same way you played the game on GameCube is the same way here. And then they introduced all this stuff. Mm-hmm. The slam shot I liked as far as you have them, you can just hit these ghosts, and that hurts their health as well, which is because they did talk about a bunch of ghosts, and maybe that's where the burst will help. But I didn't like that. I love when a bunch of ghosts come at you because it's pretty tough. You gotta sometimes use some strategy going on. So I like the setup of it. Seems like a different story as far as the first game. Mario got kidnapped. You don't know what happened last place because it was his mansion. This seems like maybe you and the gang went for a vacation.
It seems like you'll be finding a bunch of different Mario characters.
Yeah, so I'm wondering.
So maybe you'll get accompany them. They'll accompany you or help you with certain areas. They'll unlock another room, something like that for you.
I'm wondering too. I think the initial plot setup will be you guys went there for a stay and they all got sucked up and Luigi's there and thank goodness he has his little buddy there to help him out. Everything I'm seeing about this game I love. I don't know as I still PS5's coming out. I have another child on the way. Luckily, Emma was getting pretty hyped on the Animal Crossing, so I'm trying my best. But it's just with games, life, and other gaming consoles coming up, it's a lot. So whether I buy it or I find some way, I might cap in Avengers Endgame. Whatever it takes. When this game launches, I'm gonna be playing it. I'll whether it's Taylor, whether I have to kidnap Dylan for a weekend. I gotta find a way.
We'll definitely play it. I mean, especially if there's co-op, of course,
Okay, like I said, I'm even down to chip in. I'm down to pay that whole price. I don't care. I don't care.
The other thing,
it looks exactly what I want, and it's crazy.
And it seems like it's got some other fun modes. There's this scare scraper mode where you can have up to 8 players, which is kind of reminiscent of the Nintendo Land mini game. The Luigi's Mansion one is the one we played a lot.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun. It's obviously not going to be quite like that because if you can't hold a Switch in your hand and then also have it on the TV, so it's not going to be the same thing. But it looks like you can just have up to 8 players, which I love that Nintendo does that on their consoles, right? They did that with Smash. And as far as I know, that's the only console ever that has had up to 8-player co-op on one TV. It's just crazy to think about. That's not really something people don't really give Nintendo credit for breaking barriers in terms of technology and stuff. They're obviously the kings of the portable market, but that's really important. That's huge, especially for obviously this E3 was actually pretty big for co-op, but still no one is whipping out that 8-player co-op. No. So it's pretty awesome.
3-player co-op.
Yeah, a lot of 3-player.
Yeah.
But I love that, and I don't really fully understand that mode. It seems like you kind of start on one floor, you kind of go around, you each fight some monsters, try to get as many points as you can, and then you kind of scale up. You keep climbing the tower as much as you can. Well, it gets probably harder. I'm not sure if you're working together or against each other.
I think there was a points base. To me, what it sounded like, though, because I rewatched it before, they said you're competing against a clock. So I think it would be it's you, me, and the other geeks, and we got to try and get these ghosts before the time runs out.
Maybe you want to get as most points as possible. At the same time, you still want to work as a team.
And obviously, it's going to be harder. They introduced ghosts with shields in this game, which, again, I don't know how I feel about that because it's a strange thing with the suction shot. As long as that's a good thing for a GameCube game, and even then, the GameCube had many great games. Melee,
Great
Sunshine, but that game played very flawlessly. So I'm hoping if the controls work the same way, as far as even that burst we're worried about, if it just works really well, then stuff like that shield shouldn't matter. I just get flashbacks to any game where you have shield enemies and it's kind of a pain. You're like, oh, and I don't know if Luigi's Mansion needs that, but the mechanics of that looked pretty good. So yeah, that co-op mode looks like lots of fun. That looks like something I'm down just to like steamroll through with a bunch of us, and it just I liked it. They're really emphasizing co-op on Luigi's Mansion, which I'm kind of surprised, to be honest. I think it is just because of I guess it's like a Nintendo move, but it's not what I was expecting. But I do like that so far the co-op, the Gooigi looks good, and then this mode is separate from the game. Because I think when they said early on there was going to be co-op, I was a little worried because you just never know what that's going to... A game that was just fully like single player, when that gets introduced, you never know what you're going to get. We've seen many games...
And the co-op in the second game is cool that they added it, but it was pretty much like one guy's just playing like almost like a ghost. He just looks like a piece of light. Like he's not really like a unique character, so you feel like you're player 2, whereas... I mean, that's still going to be the case if you're Gooigi instead of Luigi. But yeah, you have unique abilities. Cool. You have things that Luigi can't. So, and I think he looks really cool. I love the art style.
Yeah, there should be an amiibo of him one day. They still make amiibos, right?
I think so.
Okay,
I'm still waiting for that amiibo game though, like the Disney Infinity route.
I think after those close, like we're not going to make that game, unfortunately. Yeah. So let's just be thankful that didn't happen with Smash. That was always my fear. That was my biggest fear.
That's how you unlock characters. $10.
So this is what I was going to ask you, because we were talking about this in the predictions episode, and you weren't wrong in saying this, but we've talked about how Nintendo lately, they've only been kind of showing off things that they are relatively close.
Yeah.
I was surprised we didn't get a release date. It didn't even say fall 2019, which I'm assuming now is the case.
They stuck to 2019.
Yeah, but still, I was surprised that I think they're showing off because of E3, big week in Luigi's Mansion, but I thought for sure if they're showing off now, we were going to get
it. It does seem really strange. That's kind of my biggest question mark of the conference. And so I guess we should say that conference that happened back in January, February, they announced Animal Crossing and Luigi's Mansion 3 at the same time. That's the first time we heard about these games. This is the second time we're hearing about them. Animal Crossing gets pushed to 2020, as we hear in this conference. But yeah, Luigi's Mansion sticking to 2019, but not a date. I'm fairly confident the way they're handling this, that this game is coming out this year.
I agree.
Because they would have said, hey, we need more time with it.
This is a prime October game. Halloween,
it really is,
spooky. Like this game will hit, especially
and games don't really drop in October. Like big games, can't really think of any other than Outer Worlds, I guess, that's dropping in.
Assassin's Creed used to when it comes around, but
did it? It wasn't a November game.
No, they kind of do mid, but they don't have that this year. So
that would be perfect.
And
slot.
especially because lots of people, I think this is just speculation, but lots of people are saying that they thought Animal Crossing was going to be December. That Nintendo kind of has a fall wide open, so I think October, that's a perfect game. If it's out before Christmas too, people can get it made for $10. Well, knowing Nintendo, $2 off, but still, it's So I just want to show that out because that's been rare. And then we did see later on. I know I'm skipping a bit. We saw Animal Crossing get delayed, so there was a few of those. I think they've been pretty consistent. This was a conference.
I like that they're open about it, right? Like that Metroid, like they're not keeping us waiting. They said, "Hey, we're starting from scratch." For Animal Crossing, they said, hey, we're pushing it back to 2020, but here's an exact date. And I feel like they're probably going to stick to that at this point. So I like that they're really open about their release dates and stuff. And that's the thing. Like we can look at so many other companies and big games that release and feel like like maybe they're unfinished, they're like kind of buggy or glitchy, like shouldn't have been released yet, or maybe like, oh, some of this DLC that's coming out right away feels like maybe it should have been part of the game. Nintendo never does that. Their games always come out. They're not buggy at all. They're functional. They're full games. I mean, you can look at Smash and say like the online's really buggy. Like it's not high quality online, but it's like that's fully intentional. Like they made the game they wanted to. It's not like that's a glitch or bug or something. So I don't know. I'm totally fine with Nintendo pushing their release dates however they want, because I know that when they finally do release it, it's going to be a finished game and it's probably going to be pretty good.
I agree. What was next?
Next was... It's like some weird combo of like a Netflix movie / a game for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, which I think it's from like the guy who made Muppets or something. That's what Clinton was telling me.
Yeah, it is because it was a very popular. I think I've never been a Dark Crystal guy. It was a movie back in like the 80s. Netflix acquired and they're doing a series. It has a big.
So that series isn't out yet?
No, it's coming out I think in August. It's puppets, everything like that. Look out, Taylor's doing a review because he's apparently a huge Dark Crystal fan. But this was kind of strange. It's nothing I will be getting into.
I don't think they dropped any. they didn't have the release date in this trailer as far as I know, at least. And I guess they're putting a game like alongside it, or maybe the game comes out after. I'm not sure. It looked like a classic Fire Emblem style tactics game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nothing really stood out for me in terms of the gameplay because they didn't really show a whole lot. It looked like Fire Emblem like 10 years ago or something. So I'm not really stoked for it, and I'm not really a Muppets guy. I don't really like the look of the movie, so probably not for me. But kind of a weird thing for them to throw in there, like
Kermit the Frog.
After that, we went right into Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, which is the remake or the HD remaster, whatever you want to call it, coming out September 20th. We talked about this game when it first launched, and what I said immediately was I just love the art style. It's got like the cutesy kind of claymation, almost art style to it, and I'm really excited for this game. Like, I don't know, I'm a Zelda fan. I'm not a diehard fan. I've played probably 7 or 8 of the games. I've probably only finished like 3 or 4 of them. So I'm a fan. I like some of the games a lot, but I don't know. Sometimes I just don't really get too invested in it. I've played Breath of the Wild just a tiny bit. I need to give that a go, but I don't know. This one, I just love the art style of it. It looks really fun. And then there was something new they showed in here, which is like a dungeon building mode. I guess you kind of like, I don't know if you acquire different pieces that you can kind of put together in how you want, or if you unlock them throughout the game and you can just go there for like kind of like a challenge run or something. But it looks like you kind of piece this dungeon together, and that to me is a really exciting thing as someone who likes to build things, and the idea of like building a dungeon is pretty interesting. And to mix that with Zelda, which kind of invented this style of like dungeon crawler, like Binding of Isaac and many other games have kind of emulated over the years. So I think it's a really cool idea, and I'm just down to jump into like another Zelda game. I still want to do Breath of the Wild, but this is obviously more of an old school game, but I love that art style so much. It's got me on lock.
Yeah, no, I won't be purchasing this just because there's so many other games to play, but that was the biggest thing. It just looked gorgeous the whole time. It looked great. I think fans of this are going to be happy, and I missed it. Was it release date? You said September
20th.
September 20th.
So another fall game for them.
Yep, and I think that's a perfect time. I think that audience has its own audience. I don't think that's really competing with anybody. I think you see that, you know you're buying it, or you know if you're not. You know, that's why I am, where I can appreciate it. It's great. If I got games for free, I'd be all over that chocolate bar. But
I just realized that's coming out like the same day as Spyro, or close to. Let me see. I have it written down somewhere.
But Link's Awakening is for 3DS and all those handhelds, right? Or is it a Switch game?
Switch game.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like when it got announced, I misread something, because this whole time I thought it was just for handheld.
This whole conference was Switch games.
Damn. Well, that's good for. Is it gonna be a full price game?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
September, October.
I don't know. I don't know if Spyro has an exact date. I just wrote September in my notes, so maybe they didn't have an exact date. But
yeah.
Coming up the same month. I mean, I feel like those might have some interweaving fan bases, and I've still wanted to get this Spyro remaster and give it a go. I haven't gotten to it yet, but
what is it going for right now? I'm gonna take a look.
It's probably. Well, I guess Crash was only like $40.
Yeah, and I'm hoping with.
Although Switch doesn't really do that. They don't fuck around. They're like full price games that never go on sale, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Even though in America they are selling a few of them, I think, like Donkey Kong Tropical
America
Freeze,
gets all sorts of deals. Like there's
Odyssey,
always PlayStation store deals in the U.S. Like always, and they're sick. But we don't get them here, so that sucks.
Sick. I got nothing else to add on that. Now that I know it's a Switch game, so there you go.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, it looks like the graphic fidelity, like it's not just cute, like it's pretty high quality graphics.
That's why I was for a loop. I was like, wow, look at this.
Yeah, they're not really. Game. They didn't I didn't really think about it until you mentioned it, but yeah, I don't think they advertise any 3DS games in this. Yeah. So I don't know if they're planning on doing a 3DS Direct, or if they're just, hey, the Switch is kind of taken over, which makes sense. It's a mobile console as well. After that was Trials of Mana, which is like a classic RPG. I feel like kind of in the Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy sort of verse. I guess there's a new game coming out. I don't think there's a release date for it. And then the OG trilogy is coming to Switch at some point. So for those fans, that's good for you. And then after that, they announced Witcher 3 is coming to the Switch, which is a fantastic game. I mean, Switch does this a lot, where they're bringing kind of not classic games, but big games from the last 5 to 10 years that they're just bringing onto the Switch with it, which I think is great, because for the first time ever, you can play Witcher 3 on the go. Yeah. I mean, you could play on a laptop or something, but obviously this is pretty sweet.
I think that's a huge thing, because Witcher is a game that I want to go back and play, because I finished the main campaign. I finished, I think, 1/2 of the DLCs, and this is everything in this game, so that's great. But it's a game that I still have so much to do, and I actually thought about the day when I heard that announcement. I'm like, I think I'm gonna play some Witcher 3 this weekend. It's just a game that I feel like it's one I'm always gonna go back to. I'm very happy PS5 is backwards compatible,
Yeah.
just because it's a game. It is like Kirkland said this before, but it's my type of game. It's very much that's how Knights of the Old Republic was, except this is not turn based, so I like that a lot. It's just a game just full of content. So if you haven't played it, Witcher on Switch, that's the time to get, because that, especially, I'm not someone that would be gaming on the go, but if you are, that's the perfect game to, if you're on the bus, you can clock in a few like half an hour, do a mission here, do a mission there. Yeah, it is. The Witcher is just fantastic. So
Yeah.
I'm happy for
Between
those
that
fans.
and Skyrim, you know, if you're a high fantasy action adventure game fan, fuck, you're covered.
It's your time.
After that is when they jumped into Fire Emblem, showed more of that game. This was kind of like the first like story trailer, full force story trailer. There was absolutely no gameplay in it whatsoever.
It's a theme this E3.
It's a theme of, honestly, this whole Fire Emblem marketing campaign. Like, they've shown some of the mechanics, like the school master mechanics, I guess, where you're kind of training new students and stuff like that, which is a new system, so it makes sense for showing that. And then other than that, they haven't really shown any like of the tactics gameplay. So I mean, I guess, you know, Fire Emblem's so well established at this point, people know what it is, that they don't need to show it so much because people know what to expect. But that's the thing that I've always loved about Fire Emblem. I like a lot of the character stuff and how colorful and the animations and stuff like that of the older games. But as the game gets closer and closer to being like a full-on anime, I'm less and less into it. Like, that's all this trailer was a story intro, very, very anime heavy. And like, I don't know, I've just gotten virtually no gameplay footage of like what they're doing new when it comes to the strategy elements, which is really at the core why I love these games so much. So
Yeah.
I was already, like, before this conference when we were doing our predictions, I think we were talking about, you know, Nintendo and stuff, and I was saying I'm not really sold on this Fire Emblem for the first time in a long time. I got to see what they show me at E3, and this was not what I wanted. I didn't want a story trailer. I wanted some gameplay. I wanted to see that nugget, and I didn't get it. So I think at this point it's like strictly reviews. If it gets really, really good reviews, I'll pick it up, but it's not a day one for me anymore. This was not the trailer I wanted. It's not the trailer I needed, which sucks because as I've mentioned, you know, in pretty much 4 years on the Geekverse, I've been waiting for that Fire Emblem console game to hit again. And unfortunately, this is the one I'm getting. So
Maybe it'll surprise you, though. You never know, you know?
yeah, maybe, but honestly, it's been like a steady decline.
Yeah, fair enough.
My favorite Fire Emblems are still the first ones I played, which was like 8, 9, 10, something like that. And then Awakening was really good. But since then, it's just kind of been downhill. So unfortunately, I might be checking out of this series. I might not be the Fire Emblem guy anymore. But I don't know. We'll see. If it gets really good reviews, if people are really liking these new mechanics, and there actually is like good strategy gameplay there, then who knows? Maybe I'll end up picking it up at the tail end of July.
If I had to predict, I still think there's a chance you're going to get
It's
this.
a week after Ultimate Alliance, so I'm buying a full price game a week before.
True.
So we'll see. And it comes out the same day as like same time around Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So I'll be busy that particular weekend as well. So
yeah. I got nothing to add.
yeah. After that was Resident Evil 5 and 6 are coming in fall 2019. So
Yeah.
that's cool. Show us some horror games. I mean, these are pretty old games. Like Resident Evil 5, I remember playing that. It feels like a decade ago.
Yeah, it's just, I guess, it's just Capcom just putting out anything they can Resident Evil. I guess you do it. Just 5 and 6 are kind of known as the least favorite of the franchise.
Yeah.
It's kind of when they took, and that's when I fell out, because I don't
even know. Was the 2 remake on Switch? I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because that's speaking of games I need to get. That's
Yeah.
one, because I was a huge Resident Evil fan back in the day. I was so excited when they did that kind of the HD remasters, and then when I bought the first game, I was like, man, this is just, because it just looks a bit better. It's just the same game, the very first one, and God, everyone's talking about this, but it's so clunky and it's so hard to control. Whereas Resident Evil 2, like the remake of it, looks fantastic. And in this game, I can't remember, there was something else that came out. It was in, I think, early 2019, but I was still playing Red Dead and God of War, so I just couldn't justify getting another full price game. And I just remember everyone playing, being like, I felt like just the FOMO, just the fear of missing. I was like, oh man, like I'm missing the hype. So I'm very excited to get 2, but 5 and 6, I'm very surprised, because that's where I think many other fans kind of took away, because it really lost that horror aspect, and almost kind of like what Gears is, just became that action heavy, let's kill a bunch of things. So I guess it's just Capcom being like, let's hope this sells, but I don't think those are going to move many units or digital units, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
it was kind of when I was watching this, I was like, oh really? Because at first the trailer, they're in a haunted house. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool, but it was strange that
It was weird too because this was like it seemed like almost a highlight of their conference, or like what they thought was a highlight.
Yeah.
In that they had like a full live action trailer for it.
Mhm.
And I mean I know Nintendo didn't make that and Capcom made that, sent it to them, but I don't know. It was weird that like this conference. I guess we didn't talk about it at the very
I
beginning.
know. I just thought about that.
I guess it's because it's not like a conference in the traditional sense. And obviously, when you're making something in advance and you can edit it, you can make the pacing really good. And they did. It was short, like 40, 50 minutes of just like game to game to game, not really any downtime. But Resident Evil, I would like. It's weird that they had a full trailer for that.
It felt like
and
something
kinda showed
bigger
some
was
gameplay.
coming.
Yeah.
You know, like even though I was very excited about the announcement when we
like
got,
if it was like a collection of like all the games or a few more, like multiple games or something.
yeah, like on Xbox when they announced Lego Star Wars, after I was very excited, but when it just popped out that long time far away, my mind was racing. I went, okay,
Yeah,
Lego,
true.
this is exciting, and that's what this felt like. Oh, what is this? This is cool. And I'd say the same thing with the conference direct. I really liked it. It's really good. It felt. There's other moments this year that I like a lot. We've had Marvel Alliance was coming here in this one. We had the Marvels game. I think Xbox didn't have anything for me, but I thought they had a great conference. So I don't think this was like 2 years ago when they revealed like a bunch of stuff like boom, boom, boom. That was like their Sony. That was great. And even last year I preferred because I just felt they handled the Smash content so well.
Mhm.
So this was in no way a bad one. It kind of felt similar to Ubisoft in a way where there was some new stuff, but it felt like a lot of updates. A lot of, hey, here's a date or here's more of the game
Sure.
you're looking forward to. So I think it was good, but
Yeah.
I don't think it had that oomph. And I think if you aren't a Marvel fan like us, I could see, because a lot of people have been talking about E3 being disappointed. I could see that. I'm hyped on Alliance. I'm hyped, even though we'll get into that on the recap stay too. The Avengers game is very divided, but I'm hyped on that. But I feel this one did lack that oomph. There was no one more thing because
you have to keep in mind that since Nintendo does these directs like 3 to 4 times a year, it doesn't have the same
Yeah.
effect as like a Microsoft, who's you wait all year for them to drop this big E3 conference, which they did. It really built up to that. Whereas Nintendo, yeah, like we got introduced or teased at some of these games earlier this year, and then even there was one in fall, and then even like if you are just a big Nintendo fan across the board. If you're like excited for something like a Mario Maker 2, they did a direct for that last week. If you're excited for something like a Pokemon, they did a direct for that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So they did it. I don't know. They didn't save it all for the show, and I think they did that to make this short and sweet. And I think they succeeded in that. But yeah, if you're looking at it like strictly as like comparing it to other conferences, like Nintendo does these 3 or 4 times a year. So
Mhm.
even if they're like lower, even if they're like mid or like just good conferences, it's like we're still getting 3 of these a year, whereas Xbox can like just barely scrape together one. It seems like
yeah, and I think
sometimes, not this year.
Yeah.
I'm shitting on Xbox. It's a great conference this year.
And we'll talk about it at the end, but even there, kind of one more thing. It was cool to see, but it was still another. I felt everyone was like a no-da moment. You're getting a sequel to one of the, I think it's maybe one of, if not the best reviewed game of the past 5 years.
I thought that I saw it as a surprise, but should we get back on track here?
Yeah.
Talk
So
about
that's how we go. So after Resident Evil
After
was
they're here. No More Heroes 3. I played the first one a little bit. It was on the Wii. It was a cool game. It was very stylized and interesting. It had like a lot of humor to it, but never like I didn't complete the game and didn't really stick around for the second one. But I think there's definitely a fan base for that. It's like a cult following,
yeah.
but good for them. They also announced the Contra collection. I think it's like 8 to 10 games somewhere around there. Just Contra games all bundled together. It comes out today. So today, as in what is it, June 11th today?
yeah.
So that's cool. I haven't played those games, but if that's like a low price, that could be fun to just like try those classic games.
Yeah.
Another game they've kind of been pimping out, Demon X Machina, comes out September 13th. Another September game for them. This is kind of like a mech anime action adventure, kind of like it almost looks like Devil May Cry sort of combat system,
Yeah.
but with a very like kind of anime mech sort of theme to it. There's something like I've seen this game like 2 or 3 times now. It never stands out to me. It seems like pretty bland, even
Pretty
though
generic.
yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything to say about it. It's
No,
not a
me
game
either.
for me. So moving on from that, they announced a new game, as far as I know, called Panzer Dragoon, which almost feels like it looks like a Star Fox style game. You're kind of this dragon flying around, shooting things in the environment.
I think I missed this one for some reason. I don't know
Did you?
why. Yeah.
It's a cool looking game. Like it looks pretty much like the gameplay you'd expect from a Star Fox game, but you're playing as a dragon. It looks fun, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, like if it's a full price game, I could never see myself buying it, but if it goes on sale for like $15 or $20, could be fun to try out, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes out this winter. I don't know if that was new. Like I haven't seen that game before, so if that's a new release, like cool, good for them. They touched quickly on Pokemon Sword and Shield. Nothing really new because there was a direct, as I said, a couple weeks ago. The game comes out November 15th. We didn't really talk about that direct on the cast. I thought it was pretty good. It makes this game seem a lot more open world than the other Pokemon games. They showed off some of the new gen, and I thought some of them looked pretty nice. I'm thinking I'm going to get this game not because of this direct or even that direct, but I've just been wanting to get a new Pokemon game. Like I haven't really played one in a few years.
On console too.
Yeah, exactly. And the Switch, I just love the console so much, so it's kind of the perfect time. So
isn't the gimmick they like get bigger or something?
Yeah, that's like
that?
the new mechanic. Like the last couple generations, like before it was like these Alolan forms, which they just look kind of different. And they have, I guess they're stronger. And then before that was like the Omega forms, where they just like kind of look like mechs and they're like stronger. So this is just like they're bigger and they're stronger. So it seems to me like I've been doing the exact same thing. And I mean, maybe there's differences stat-wise of what these things do, but it doesn't really feel like they're innovating at all with like the big things there. I don't know. It seems
Pokemon,
kind of strange to me.
Get.
Like that was. I didn't care about that at all in Direct, which is like the new big thing. But I don't need the big like new feature because I haven't played the game in a few years. So I don't know. There's a few new things that I haven't played yet. So it was a decent Direct. I was a fan of it. After that was Astral Chain, which comes out August 30th. This is a third-person action adventure game as well, kind of Devil May Cry sort of style gameplay. It seems like. This one was, I think it was announced in January or February is the first time we saw it. And it looks like a really unique game. I think it's from the people that make Bayonetta. I think they've either making two games because I think they're making Bayonetta 3 right now. Or they're split into two studios. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's the case. It looks like a fun enough game. Definitely got a lot more style, a lot more intrigue to it than something like Demon X Machina that we were just talking about, even though they do look kind of similar in some ways. But I don't know. It looks kind of cool. It's on my radar. It comes out at the end of August, so I don't know if I'll end up picking it up, but definitely an interesting, like, unique new IP that Nintendo's pumping out. So
they got a lot of games close to August and September there.
And I'm fairly certain that's exclusive. It's got to be, so that's cool. Then we saw another new game called Empire of Sun, which is like a mob style game, which had a really, really good trailer, I thought at least. It has like the kind of reverse animation of like a building kind of exploding, probably from some sort of gang activity. So I thought it was a really nice stylized trailer. And I don't know, I guess it kind of looked like a more action-heavy, like L.A. Noire sort of game. I guess maybe like, what's that game that you and like Mafia?
Yeah. That's what I thought it was going to be. I don't know if Mafia 3 is on the Switch, but I'm like, oh, this must be that port or something like that. And yeah, it just didn't look like a game that I thought Nintendo would be making because they just have a different style. So that's what I'm going to keep my eyes on because it was just kind of a cinematic trailer, right? So we have no preference of what's going on or no idea.
I guess if you look at this console in general, right? Like we're getting Doom, we're getting your Resident Evils. Like I guess Witcher's on there, which is a game where you frequently have sex with people.
Those are ports, though. This was a Switch exclusive, it looks like it said, right? So that's the thing where it's like they've definitely dipped their toes in the more mature thing, but it's like, oh, let's bring this popular game. This is maybe them taking a swing at making a more mature game, because I'm trying to think on the Switch, what is a Switch exclusive that was really mature? I'm trying to think. I don't think they've really had one. I guess if Bayonetta would have come out, that'd be your closest, right?
I mean, there's been like probably Bayonetta got toned down pretty massively when it came to Nintendo as an exclusive because the first game was on every console and it was a lot more sexualized than the second one. So even that one they toned down. I don't know. I'm sure there's some indie games that are pretty risque out there, but I think you make a good point that this is kind of maybe their first exclusive. And I didn't actually check which developer was making this, so I'm not sure if it's a known developer or just like a smaller dev that decided to go with the Switch, which a lot of people seem to be doing. So I don't know. It's something once again different, and I thought it had a good trailer. It's definitely on my radar. I don't know if you could ever say it's a day one buy after just like seeing such a short amount of gameplay, but something unique. I wonder what that game's about really. After that, we don't have a release date for that either. As far as I know.
That was just cinematic. They cut to the title, and I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. Yeah. So
after that, we jumped into Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which was just quick. It was like, I think it was like 1 minute. It was a loaded 1 minute. There was a lot in there. Yeah. But it was like a quick cut. So I'm
going to say, start off with negative, then we're going to positive. I think they should have swapped this with the X-Men
X-Men
one.
trailer,
I think
yeah.
the X-Men one was more hype. I think that is because, well, so it was so strange because did you get a chance to watch any of Treehouse today?
No, I didn't.
So I did. So at one point, I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I think they did at least a 25 to 30 minute gameplay sit down. You should watch when you get home.
Oh, okay.
Of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. They're showing off characters. They're playing the X-Men level that we saw in that trailer there, where
Okay.
it started where you meet up
mansion's
with
getting
Beast.
trashed.
Yeah, you meet up with Beast. You fight these Sentinels at first.
Did they show
because-
Beast like playable?
No,
Okay.
he's just so far talking because it's weird because that one trailer today showed him jump out with Nightcrawler, but then all the gameplay we saw was him as a.
Once again, we haven't seen Beast in game. Yeah.
Mhm. So what happened was a Sentinel got I think it was the Power Stone, and he put it in and he became an Infinity Sentinel, and he was big and he took him down, and then you had to fight Magneto,
Okay.
Juggernaut, and Mystique. So that, and in that one they also showed, and like I won't get into too many spoilers, but they show the expansion is how you unlock Deadpool, because while this is happening, you're fighting Juggernaut. There's a cutscene of Juggernaut running through the mansion, and Deadpool's making chimichangas and tacos and knocks over stuff, and he gets really mad. What was the other? Oh crap! There's one more thing. We got our first look at Scott Cyclops, not as a playable character, which we'll get into after, because probably will be, but our first look at him and Colossus. They are helping you fight the Sentinels in the game as NPCs.
Really?
Yeah. So watch Treehouse when you're home. So I didn't even know what happened. I clicked on it because I was waiting for the Avengers panel, and I was like, okay. And there's lots. They got to show a lot of fighting in different play styles, which was cool.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
I eventually. I think they just did the X-Men level, so that's good. I didn't want to get too many spoils, but so they also showed the pause screen, and there's a player select screen. So I wasn't sure if it was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 if you could pause at any time.
Oh, right.
I don't,
Switching characters.
because I swear when they did that, it almost looked like there was a Shield-like logo, but it felt like almost anytime there was a chapter, like you'd beat a boss and you go on, that's when you could switch over.
Mhm.
The player select screen was really cool. At one point, they had like Thor, Venom, Captain Marvel, and
What kind of style was it? Like one or two, in terms of just picking?
So it was
Was it like all of them chilling in one spot, or do you have to scroll through them?
It was almost like a Mortal Kombat Injustice, where it was all squares
tiles.
with their faces.
That makes sense for how many characters there is.
And then so when you selected them, they had their character screen, and then below it had a bar showing their level, what level they were. When you up a level during combat, on the right side of the screen, you get a big notification. Captain Marvel just went from level 21 to 22, which is good because I feel like in some of the games, it's obvious, but still pretty kind of higher up or smaller. Or they just go, like this made a big deal about the leveling up.
Right.
And then when they did, it was like Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Venom, and Thor. Right when you select that team you confirmed, it showed all like when they select this team, it was 8 different like character bonus. So it was like web slingers, heavy hitters, and they got like, I don't know, like,
were they varied amounts of power up?
Yeah. So one was
Depending on
like
how many
4,
they had?
one was 2, one was 6, something
really
like that,
cool.
and it was depending. So yeah, it was cool. Check that out. So I liked everything we saw here. I just wish they switched them because I think the X-Men was more E3 hype than even though, because I think that for us, Ghost Rider is hype because Taylor, that's one of his favorite. He's kind of a meme around here, Nicolas Cage. But I think that if you look at which is super strange. So they confirmed Elektra. We kind of knew about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how I got in the treehouse. So they didn't.
Man, you're just going from thing
They
to thing.
didn't confirm.
Bring it down to earth, man. I want to talk about these
But
things.
hang on, and then I will go. But this is what was strange. They didn't confirm Vision in the that trailer, but he was in the treehouse. He wasn't.
Yeah.
They didn't show gameplay, but they showed him there. So the first time ever, they've never confirmed Vision
he
to the
was-
public, but they did.
They let him slip in the X-Men trailer. He's in there for a few frames.
Yeah, but they didn't do official. Oh, Vision's in this, so it was weird that he wasn't even in the E3 trailer, but he was in the Disney Playhouse, whatever. So you can continue, but I just want to bring up those Disney stuff, or the not the Disney, the Nintendo Playhouse
No, I
stuff.
totally agree that the X-Men trailer is a lot more hype, and it would have made sense if that was like the gameplay they're showing too, right? They show that trailer off, and then people get to play it. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm just so excited for this game already that
We're so close.
And there was a bunch of stuff in here that is super exciting and really new. Talk more on Ghost Rider. Like, it makes he wasn't in the second game, but he was in the first game.
Yep.
Taylor's favorite, of course. But I've just been getting massive vibes that he's gonna be playable. And I would like me, Travis, and Taylor were just walking down to Domino's yesterday to get some snacks in between the conference. And I was like, Taylor, I promise you, I promise you that Ghost Rider's in this game. And he's like, really? You promise? I'm like, yes, dude, I promise.
Oh yeah,
I just got massive vibes.
I gotta double down on that because Dylan's been talking about that for a little while, and I just didn't think it was happening. I just didn't think Ghost Rider was that popular anymore. And the thing is, do you think? So we got
popularity is like a not necessarily their metric here. Like, yes, they're going MCU popularity, but then after that, like Crystal's super weird, and then this other new character that you didn't even know who she was. Right?
Well, yeah. Like she's like a songbird for me, where I didn't recognize her, had to look her up, and then like. Right, she was part of the Marvel Knights at some point. Her biggest issue was in 2001, so it's been a long time. But I was going to say, so other with Crystal was standing, I would disagree. I thought the whole roster was very popular characters. Guardians, Venom, Spider-Gwen, and Miles are really popular right now. So to me, they weren't making many deep cuts.
I guess I just mean that it's not exclusively like popular characters.
True, oh yeah.
There is some oddballs in there.
And I think we have that now, because Crystal to me was just, she's a way to get in the humans in Lockjaw. But with Elektra and Ghost Rider, and even once they said Defenders, I was like, okay, we're getting some more. The only thing was, so they talked about the expansion pass, which is coming fall, and they showed that that's Fantastic Four, X-Men, and Marvel Knights. Now, this is the thing. You think everybody they showed today is playable on the base game, right?
I would think so. I would think it'd be really odd if they didn't, or that they wouldn't like explicitly state like, hey, here's a couple characters that are coming later, because right now they're advertising this as like they announced those characters before the pass, right?
Yeah.
They said here's Elsa Bloodstone. Well, we saw her already fighting, so she's got to be in the base game. Ghost Rider, we didn't. We actually we saw him as well, so they both got to be in the game, right? We saw them fight in game. So
my worry is, and I think you're right, but my worry is in this with even tying with the Treehouse, they show Cyclops and Colossus, which I think that's pretty much a given. Those two are going to be in that X-Men pack. Cyclops and Colossus, because they're in that photo. They're NPCs.
There was in the X-Men trailer. They zoom in on this photograph. It's everyone in the game that we've seen already, with the exception of Colossus, Scott, and then also Xavier. So we'll see, maybe Xavier, but I probably those two, Colossus. I keep forgetting his name. Cyclops, and Jean Grey, I'm thinking, would be the three X-Men. I don't know how many are going to be
Jean wasn't in
pack.
The photo, though, right? So that's
she wasn't, but I think she'll be part of that pack.
Okay.
I think she's a big enough character. I mean, obviously the movie's not super popular, but she's a really well-known character.
Oh, Dark Phoenix, baby.
And she was super fun in the second game.
So I'm hoping, because the reason I paused and thought, oh, man, I hope they're not DLC, because Elsa Bloodstone, she was part of Marvel Knights at one point. Or, sorry, no, she was a part of Midnight Suns. And that's what, remember?
We've heard about them before, yeah.
Yeah, it was during, it was in the middle of, at some point, it was Game Informer, and they were getting all these videos, and they said that they were the ones that told us about the team-up menus and whatnot, the abilities, the perks you get, and they said Midnight Suns was one of those, and we knew...
Ghost Rider's in there.
Yeah, and Ghost Rider's in there, and also Bloodstone, and then there's one person in the game that's a part of it. Iron Fist was a part of it at one point. So for me, if those two aren't, other people that have been a part of it are Punisher, Blade, and Moon Knight. And so if Elektra you could count, maybe you could put her in Midnight Suns Defenders, but if we say Elsa Bloodstone and Ghost Rider are in the base game, I think you're getting Punisher, Blade, Moon Knight, at least 1 to 2 of those, or maybe all 3, because those are Midnight Suns.
I could see Blade and Moon Knight for sure.
I want Punisher really bad, just because I love...
Oh, I do too. I think the other two are just more likely.
I guess, we've never actually gone Punisher Marvel Ultimate Alliance, so...
He could be... I mean, we've had Cable, and they could be very... Cable has more supernatural abilities.
Yeah.
But at least the way he plays like a kind of like an army dude with various gunshots and grenades. So Punisher could be that.
Blade was similar to that in the first game, and Nick Fury. So that's what I'm trying to wonder. And then what was the other one? Fantastic Four, we know who that's going to be. So I'm trying to think. I don't think Doom would be a part of that. So I'm kind of operating the base that all the expansion passes will have 4 characters, in my opinion. I really do. So
4? I guess the other thing, I just thought I had this in my notes, for the X-Men pack is... for the X-Men pack, we're Colossus, Cyclops very likely. How about Mystique or Juggernaut? Because we see them as villains in this game alongside Magneto, but we don't know if they're confirmed yet. as playable characters, I should say.
Yeah.
So there are potential other X-Men you could throw in there.
The reason I think,
And I think Iceman has a good chance as well.
yeah, the reason I think you could be right on this one is I felt during the Treehouse when they were fighting Mystique, the developers were talking a lot about Mystique's abilities and her weapons. So I would honestly, even over Jean and Professor X, I would believe the X-Men pack would be Scott,
Right.
Colossus,
Plus,
Juggernaut, Mystique.
They already have those character models revved up. They already have animations.
Other than Mystique, she'd be the first new time in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
No, but I mean from like in the game
Oh,
already.
okay, yeah, fair
Like,
enough.
Just
yeah.
from the boss fight, they can rework that into a playable character.
Yeah.
Elsa Bloodstone, we just touched on her quickly. From what I looked up on her today, it seems
She's a
like she's
monster
very
hunter.
much a Deadpool type. She's kind of
Yeah.
got the healing, the guns,
Yeah.
jumping around, very acrobatic. She seems like really fun, and I'm down for it.
That's a deep cut.
It's a super deep cut.
Yeah.
I think she's very cool, and I just know that there's some like big Elsa, what's her name, Bloodstone fan out there who's just like super stoked.
Oh
right
yeah,
now,
yeah.
right?
I saw a couple of them today. Yeah, she's a British monster hunter. People have kind of compared her like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
So that to me reminds me. That's why I'm happy because I always thought the first game had tons of deep cuts. Where I feel the second game I liked a lot of people other than Penis and Songbird, which are deep cuts.
Yeah.
It was pretty mainstream. I felt like you had a
Mhm.
lot of your Civil War people. So I like seeing that. It does make me question that. It's just, again, more characters because it just makes me question. Here's the other thing, too, and maybe we'll get another direct. We have not officially got Ant-Man revealed, though.
No,
He's
have
on
not.
those shirts, but
Mhm.
I'm wondering if, well, I don't think they would, right? So
Ant-Man's in there, right?
no,
'Cause
he
if
is, but we were not going to get another direct for this game before July, you think?
No, I could see one more like trailer for it. Like that
Okay.
would even be heavy, honestly. But I could see it like a week or two before it comes out. Like
I just
even like close to Spider-Man coming out or something.
yeah. I just mean like with like Elsa Bloodstone, who's a character we had
Yeah.
zero idea could be
Yeah,
in
I
this.
know. You're like, why isn't Ant-Man one of the characters they announced here? I don't know. I think it's good to keep some characters to be
Well,
hyped like on release.
That's
right?
what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Are there going to even be people that we don't officially know about? Like we have an idea, Ant-Man, but could there even
I
be?
could see there being one or two at least, like characters that were
Ooh.
added maybe later in development,
Oof.
characters that they didn't really have time to pump into like these, I don't know, these videos and stuff. I could see it happening for sure.
That's
And who knows?
exciting.
Maybe there's some character like a Thanos, right? They're not going to show you playing as Thanos before the game comes out. I don't think they would.
And what do you think about the strategy? Because I've seen some criticism about them announcing the expansion pass before the game's out.
Yeah, I'm never really a fan of like there's different ways it comes across, and if I'd be really mad if Ghost Rider and Elsa Bloodstone
Yeah.
were exclusively
Marvel Knights package.
well, yeah, if you had to pay for them because they showed gameplay of it, like, and they showed that before they talked about the Game Pass or the Fighters Pass, whatever it is. And yes, technically it's in the same like announcement, but that would kind of just rub me the wrong way if they do it like that, because it's like, oh, these characters are done. We saw them fighting. Why are they not in the base game? Like if they're already finished, why are you holding back on them? So yeah, I would get rubbed the wrong way for those two in particular. And then I mean, yeah, if there's some other character that we thought was announced but they shove it to that pack, then I'd be a little salty too. But I don't see that being the case for any of the X-Men. I think they're pretty much all in there. And then, I mean, obviously we haven't seen Fantastic Four at all. So I'm guessing that hasn't even been started on or is just in the works now. So we'll have to see how they play it. But who else are the big Marvel Knights? I guess it's, as you just said, Punisher, Blade, or is that...
Well,
no,
like
that's the Midnight Suns.
or the Midnight Suns.
Who are the
yeah.
other big Midnight Suns?
Well, like I said, Punisher,
Marvel
Blade,
Knights
Moon
people.
Knight. We had Iron Fist in there. Elsa
So
Bloodstone.
a lot of crossover.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Are
We
they
have
the same
Ghost
team
Rider.
with a different name?
Which one?
Like Marvel Knights
So
and Midnight Suns?
technically, Marvel Knights is because it's a weird thing. They eventually turned into team. Marvel Knights was this idea Marvel had. We're going to start making darker comic books, and that's when they brought in Ghost Rider, things like
Okay.
that. So, and technically, like the Defenders were part of the Marvel Knights, and that's why, like the Defenders on TV are not the Defenders. Like the Defenders in the comics were like Doctor Strange and the Hulk. Like it was completely wild. So. That's maybe me kind of crossing streams there. So Midnight Suns, I legitimately, if it's my predictions right with 4, I think those are a guarantee. I think Moon Knight's been played before.
Yeah,
What
he's
was
super
the other
unique
one?
as well.
What was it? And Punisher we talked about. What was
Blade.
the other? And Blade's
Yeah.
been around, so I think those would be a good idea. And especially if you got Elsa Bloodstone, who's a monster hunter. You got Blade the Vampire Hunter. It makes sense,
True.
you know. So
That'd be fun.
that's exciting. I'll have to look more at who could be the potential
Yeah.
fourth one. So.
Mhm. We also got first gameplay look at Luke Cage quickly.
Yeah.
He's just like whipping someone. I think it was Doc Ock. we got quick gameplay of Wasp. So we
Mhm.
saw her doing like a shrinking blaster kind of move. She
Yeah.
shrink for a bit, shoot her blaster. So it's cool to see her. And then we also saw Falcon very briefly. He does like a kind of a ground pound sort of attack. So it was cool to see them. Finally, they've been confirmed for a while, but we haven't really actually seen them in game. So it's kind of just confusing.
And it looks like you started because I think they said that the X-Men Mansion level was early on, not one of the first, but still kind of.
And then we also saw that Scarlet Witch like pops up with the X-Men, so she's kind of introduced. Is she in that gameplay sequence?
I didn't watch all, but they could have selected her. She was. I don't think when I watched because I want to go back and watch the
Seems
full
like
thing.
she gets introduced there, which makes sense, but we didn't see that in the X-Men trailer. So.
But in the this gameplay, whenever it happens to X-Men, they had a lot of characters unlocked, so that was good. Like all your classic Avengers, Spider-Gwen, the Guardian, stuff like that. So I think you're gonna be unlocking and Daredevil,
I think
the
it
Defenders.
seems like you get a lot of them early on in the game. So that's cool.
So I'm very excited about that.
A couple other random notes. Yeah, we saw Beast again, but still no gameplay. Is he playable? Is he not?
It's strange because he was jumping with Nightcrawler, who is it? So I'm wondering too if he could be playable as well, like in that X-Men pack as well.
Yeah,
because then maybe it is Professor X that's that for it. Which I just want to see that. I'd like to see them tackle that because I don't know, that could not be good gameplay, but I would love to see them. That's a risky move, and I would love them to do it.
Me too. And then we also got just some quick look at some new villains in the game. So Dr. Octopus and Mysterio, a couple more Spider-Man villains. Mysterio, man, I'm pulling for that to be a playable character. I would want that so bad. That's
You're
like
right
my
about Ghost Rider. I don't know if he'll be right about this one.
I'm not gonna promise that one to Taylor. That's risky. We also saw Hela, and then we saw kind of the big flame demon. What's his name?
Surtur.
Oh, that's Surtur.
Surtur from Thor Ragnarok.
So that's the guy who backs up Hela, and then we also saw MODOK, which was kind of fun because he's a really goofy guy.
It's looking like a good villain roster. Mysterio makes sense because that movie's coming out. I like that. We've seen
a lot of Spider-Man villains, and it makes sense. We have 3 Spider people, but Doc Ock,
4,
Mysterio, Sandman, Venom.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of Spider.
And that was the thing. I don't know how Venom factors into because when they were playing the same thing, it looked like Venom was unlockable early on. So I don't even think he's gonna be. Maybe it's like you and your Spider-Man. You're fighting
that
Venom very early on.
Also Electro, a lot of Spider-Man villains.
Yeah, I think Venom. There's a chance that he's not even like a main villain you fight. Maybe just one battle, but it looked like early on you have Venom.
Yeah, I'm guessing you just do that one boss fight that we saw gameplay footage of. The very last note was we just saw Crystal had like a new move that we haven't seen before. She has like these water guns. That look pretty fun. So she just seems like a very like combo heavy kind of character between the fire and the water. Seems like she can kind of just shoot once or combo into like string it. So I'm getting more excited for that character. She seems like she'll be really fun. That was pretty much all of Marvel Ultimate Alliance stuff. So for a 1-minute clip, there's a lot to dive into there. And I mean, we're just so hyped for this game. We should have said this earlier, but we did a predictions cast, me, Travis, and Kirkland, I guess like 3 weeks ago, something like that, just talking about what we want to see in that game and kind of rounding up what the previous games rosters were. So if you want to hear that, it's definitely a fun cast. I would check it out.
Yeah, it still is relevant because there's still lots more. And if you like what we've talked about here, July 20th, tune
24 hours.
Stay tuned on Twitter and Facebook because we're streaming it, whether it's Facebook or Twitch. But we're gonna have tons of fun. I just can't wait to get my hands on this. And definitely when you get home, watch some of the Treehouse stuff. It was good. The gameplay's looking great.
There's some guy on YouTube that we've been watching who does like breakdowns of all these things. I'm gonna check his video out.
What's next?
Next is Cadence of Hyrule, which comes out actually in just a couple days, which is a Crypt of the Necrodancer game, but with the Zelda skin on it. Crypt of the Necrodancer is a really creative game where it's kind of like a dungeon crawler, but enemies move on a rhythm. They move on a set pace, and that's when you choose to move as well. So a really unique game that blends the music, like turns the music in the game into a system. So to combine that with a Zelda game, which Zelda has some of the most legendary music of all time, with a really, really cool, like mechanically interesting game. It's cool. We've heard of that game before, but it's coming out this week, I guess. So that's pretty sweet. Then we also got another new game, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
Yeah, I was wondering.
How do you think about this? Have you played the... I know there's one on the Wii. I think that might have been it.
Yeah, I think I played it maybe once or twice, never a deep dive, but this was one title I thought, why haven't we seen it in quite a little while? It's exciting. It's a game that I would love for us to put in Gauntlet, but it's also a game that I don't think any of us would be willing to drop the full price for.
I remember playing the one on the Wii. I think I rented it from Blockbuster back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really fun. It's a classic like Mario Party type. You just do like a series of mini games, and it does look like a lot of fun. I mean, obviously we love Strikers. We love Mario Tennis.
I saw some soccer in there, so that's the closest we're going to get to Strikers.
We want to see more of these Mario sports games, but Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm not really a Sonic guy. It's more the Mario side of it for me. So I don't know. Honestly, if the game has a lot of Mario characters in it, like if it has your Dry Bones, your Lakitu or something, I'd be super down. But I'm not really into the Sonic character so much. But it looks like fun. It's a good pick. And I think it's the second game. I think it's the first one since the Wii. I could be totally wrong on that. But
I think you're wrong. I feel like
there might have been one on the Wii U.
I feel like they did one called the Winter Edition. And it was
you're probably right.
Winter Olympics.
They might have done one on the 3DS as well.
Yeah. So I think there's at least been two. So
that game comes out in November.
Yeah,
so
looks
cool.
fun.
After that, they talked about Animal Crossing. So, yeah, they first talked about how it's getting pushed back to March 20th of 20. Maybe it's not March 20th. March of 2020. I wrote March 20th. And I'm not sure if that means 2020 or March 20th.
I thought
myself.
the 20th was. I feel like
we're gonna go with that.
Yeah.
Either way, they pushed the game back into 2019, which we talked about earlier. Why I'm cool with it because I know. Like, obviously, we have a bunch of other stuff coming out from Nintendo. So there's a lot, like, between Zelda and Luigi's Mansion, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Like, there's a lot coming out the rest of this year, so I'm totally okay with it. But also because we know that means Nintendo's going to push it back and it's going to be a finished game when it finally does come out. And I think they're going to stick to that date. I don't think they're going to move that anymore. I'm a big Animal Crossing fan. The reason I got a GameCube back in the day was for Animal Crossing and Melee. I got those two games and I was set for months. And I mean, Melee still I play to this very day.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing, I don't play so much anymore, but I did get the 3DS game as well. And they're just like the epitome of like a feel good game. Like they're just simple, fun. Like you get to build your house, you get to build the city up, you get to interact with the people that live in town. And then there's also like some sad feels when like someone moves out of town one day. You get a letter from them, and they're like, "Hey, like, I hope you're doing well." And it's like, man, the game's emotional. I love me some Animal Crossing. The new things that they have this time around seems like it takes place on an island, which they've kind of done before. There was always points in the other games where you could go visit an island, but it seems like that's the main base game here. So maybe they use that as a hub, and then you can go to other areas. But then there's also kind of a crafting system of some sort. You kind of make up more of a camp, so you kind of build more outside of your actual house, whereas before it's kind of like you go into the loading zone of your house, and that's where all your stuff is. You kind of like build roads and stuff as well, so I guess you're doing more of that city planning that was kind of introduced in the second game. So, yeah, there's definitely some new mechanics in there, but really it's like the classic same old Animal Crossing formula, which is really all you need if you're an Animal Crossing fan. It's a game I'm definitely going to get almost certainly on release. I'm pretty excited for it, and I'm totally fine with them pushing it back, which pretty much a full year from now, but that's cool with me.
I'm excited for you and the fans. Never really dive deep into them, but I know they got a good fan base. Yeah, there's also just spring 2020 is getting really stacked right now.
Oh, I know.
That's one thing that I feel like I'm very interested from like me. That's like the business box office side to see what games flourish in that month. Like from February to maybe I'll push a little bit. I'll say March to May, just because May is that cap off of Avengers. You got Cyberpunk, you got Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Some games are going to falter. I'm looking very excited. I don't think Animal Crossing will be one of them. I think they have a dedicated fan base. They've been waiting for a game like this.
There's a lot of fans.
I'm excited to see, unless it reviews terribly, which I doubt it will. But yeah, I'm excited to see.
I don't even think Animal Crossing fans care about reviews, honestly.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm excited to see what happens that spring because there's a lot of games coming.
Yeah. We're almost at the end here. Nintendo, at the kind of near the end, they did a kind of quick clip of a bunch of random games. So Spyro in September, Hollow Knight Silk Song coming out, Hollow Knight sequel. Definitely, Hollow Knight's a fantastic game, so that's pretty cool. Ni no Kuni, I guess a new game coming out. Yeah. Minecraft Dungeons is coming to Switch, which we saw in Xbox conference. Blades is coming to Switch, which we saw in the Bethesda conference. My friend Pedro, which I'm sure we saw in the Devolver Digital conference, if you watched that. We also saw that Doom Eternal is coming to the Switch, which I didn't actually notice in the Bethesda conference. I mean, it makes sense. Doom, the first Doom, or Doom 2016, I should say, came to Switch. So it makes sense, but like, good for Switch for being that powerful of a console that it can handle that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I saw a logo.
The frame rate's good.
I don't know if I saw a logo.
Yeah,
so there you go.
That's pretty sweet. This other game, The Sinking City, which looks like this really mysterious game. I don't really know much. I don't know like too much about it, but I guess that's coming out. Wolfenstein Youngblood is coming out. Wolfenstein, I should say, coming to Switch as well. Dead by Daylight, Alien Isolation's coming. Dragon Quest Builders 2. A lot of these things we've seen in other conferences.
Spyro that's where it was confirmed.
Yeah, Catan, board game coming. Stranger Things, Dauntless, which is an interesting looking game, and then Mario Maker 2. It's kind of funny that they just pumped that in here with these this kind of quick clip of games. Obviously, we saw the direct like a week ago, so it makes sense. But yeah, that game comes out later this month, in June 20th, I want to say, something like that. So yeah, there was one more thing in this conference, and it was I guess technically Banjo was at the end.
Yeah.
Was here, and then at the very end, post-credit scene was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel is coming, which is made from the same engine, same assets, I'm assuming, from Breath of the Wild. It is technically a sequel, which, I mean, Zelda games don't really do typically. Like they all take place in the same time, like different timelines of the same world. But this is like, is this the first like true sequel? I mean, we don't know how much of a sequel it really is.
I think it's gonna be like the Majora's Mask for this.
We get that vibe. It's got like the creepy vibes, kind of like the Ocarina of Time of the Majora's Mask.
Same engine. It's creepy. It's dark. Yeah, I think it's. Like I said earlier, it's a no-brainer to do this. This is not one. I also don't have a Switch, but I wouldn't be picking up. I'm a notorious Breath of the Wild hater. It is a phenomenal great game. It's made very well. I just think it gets a little overpraised, but I think this is. It makes sense. People like it a lot. I'd be inclined to try this again one day just because I like the dark aspect of it. Majora's Mask is actually my favorite Zelda game, but
me too.
So I think this was a good I think that's where I still disagree with you a bit. I just think it wasn't. I don't think it was oomphy enough for me, just because it just felt like it was. This always just felt like it was a matter of time. It's kind of like Elder Scrolls last year, where it's like it was just a matter of time till we got this.
See, I don't know. I didn't have that perspective that we were gonna get a game built off Breath of the Wild sequel. Like, yes, it is. I mean, we've heard like rumors of it, but to me, I don't know. It was still like a surprise to see. And yes, it's still like it's just in development, so who knows how long it's going to be.
Metroid was in development. You know?
Yeah, that's true, and that game got deleted. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think maybe you're a bit down on it because you didn't like Breath of the Wild as much as everyone else. You think it's very overrated, whereas most people, maybe not most people, but I've seen just an insane amount of people who say it's like the best Zelda game, one of the best games of all time. So I think it's like pretty hype.
I'm not down from that perspective. I did think it was a no-brainer they made it just because of how successful it was. Like critically, very loved. It sold really well. So I just didn't think they were going to leave that in the dust. I thought that was exactly where they're going. And I think even years, like I feel like a year after Breath of the Wild came out, I felt Nintendo or some rep or something like that, someone higher up said, "Oh yeah, we're looking into doing more." So it just didn't. It felt like a good to get a confirmation, but I didn't feel I was very surprised, and it didn't feel it was long enough for me to be surprised. Breath of the Wild only came out 3 years ago, so for me, if it was longer, or if this was hey, this sequel's happening and it's coming out next year, I'd be like, holy shit. But I think just because it's still pretty recent, I was like, okay, it wasn't like we were longing. It wasn't like, oh, we got another Zelda game, and people are like, oh, I really wish it was the Breath of the Wild kind of aesthetic, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I'm happy for those fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. That's the Nintendo conference. Overall, I was super stoked with it as a Nintendo Switch owner. It was just game after game, a lot of stuff that I was expecting and just wanted to see more of. Honestly, the only thing in here that's disappointing for me is Fire Emblem. I was really banking on a really big trailer here to sell me on the game, and it was kind of the opposite, where it kind of confirmed that I'm not really super interested in this game, which is a tough thing for me to accept, considering I've supported Fire Emblem for, 7 or 8, 9 games in a row now for the last few years. So that's too bad. But other than that, this conference was a banger. I love that Marvel Ultimate Alliance stuff. Yes, maybe it should have been the X-Men trailer, but it's crazy how much was packed into kind of 1 minute there. I love the little display at the end, just a bunch of cool looking games. I'm definitely getting Link's Awakening. I'm definitely getting, the Smash content I already technically own. I've got the Fighters Pass already. So there was a lot in here for me, and I loved it. And I think, obviously, if you're not doing a live conference, you have the ability to pace your conference perfectly because you can edit around it. And I think they did a great job. They didn't linger on anything too long. They didn't have any boring sequences where someone was talking about something for 5-10 minutes. It was just quick cuts, like 50 minutes, something like that. And I don't know, I got some massive nerd chills seeing Banjo. And I'm not even a Banjo guy, but just like that 1 minute Ultimate Alliance and that Banjo reveal just got me super stoked. And even the hero, the other character announcement for Smash, I don't know the character personally, but just seeing that throwback trailer to the Subspace Emissary cutscene, I had chills multiple times in this conference. So it definitely affected me on an emotional level. I'm gonna rate it a 4 out of 4.5 out of 5. I'm gonna put it high up there. Actually, maybe a 4. I would either put it at 4 and bring my score for Microsoft down to a 4, or I'd give this one a 4.5 to match it. That's kind of where I'm at. So wherever you want it, somewhere in there, it doesn't really matter. This is either a 4 along with Microsoft, 4.5 tied with Microsoft. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tricky for me. I think I would go. I think I would go 4 from a personal standpoint because I think there was
Mansion.
just, I think there was the Mansion, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but I think there was a lot of games in the middle that I think it's kind of like Square Enix that I just didn't care about. They just don't speak to me. I didn't think it was paced well. I think even Marvel Ultimate Alliance I was hyped, but I still would like to know the reasoning of. I think of why this trailer was there instead of the X-Men one. I
Yeah.
think it was a little underwhelming because we love Ghost Rider, but I think that's one thing I didn't say. There wasn't that huge character. I
Maybe
would
they
have.
did that because the new movie was coming out and they wanted to get that trailer out before the new movie. I don't know if that's something they thought about.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah, you never know. And then, even though he was leaked, I think Ant-Man would have been that oomph like character. For me, it's cool that Elsa's in there. It's cool we got Elektra. It's cool Ghost Rider. But if they want to save some, that's great too. And I still think it's I'm excited that there's gonna be more, but I still think it was maybe a weird choice to announce DLC right now. I think you could. That's easy. Add that in a direct a few months after the game because I feel like that already put some sour taste in people's mouths. But I'm excited.
Like, imagine if their fall conference was like, here's our 3 DLC packs, and this one comes out next week.
Yeah, so that was a little strange. So yeah, I would go with 4. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't think it was a couple of years ago, which I would have gave a 5. That stellar one, I don't think it was a smash one where we got a deep dive on a really anticipated game. To me, this had some cool announcements, some really cool announcements for me personally, but it was also a lot of updates of this, Luigi Mansion looking good, which that one worked for me, but other things like Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, things that don't speak to me. But I think for a Nintendo fan, it did pretty well. But I still think for me the Zelda one is not, and they don't need oomph. That's fine, but for me it's not like when they revealed Metroid or when they revealed Luigi's Mansion or anything like that, or the Smash one, which is like oomph after oomph after oomph. So so really good. But I think it's one of their kind of weaker ones. But I think that's just happening to a lot of people right now. I think Xbox had a good conference, but it was a lot of kind of updates. Sony didn't even do one. Ubisoft was a kind of like a wait and see. Like it feels like everyone is putting on the best conferences they can because it just feels like a lot of stuff is coming, but it's not really ready to be announced or showed off, or they're talking about old games that are out. So yeah, I'm just excited for Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah, me too, man.
Anything else to say?
No, that was an awesome conference. Loved it.
Ladies and gentlemen, all the links are down below for the video and audio feeds. We ask you if you like what we did here or the entire weekend, just please subscribe. Give us a written review. That helps us out. We're trying to hit the 200s. Those are the ones we're looking for. So until next time, it'll not be boring.
Peace out.